Boosting is ruining WoW. This was actually in September 29th, so this was a while ago. But I would imagine this is still relevant because I think, if anything, the World of Warcraft population has only dwindled since September 29th, so that this problem has probably only become worse. Let's see what this is all about.
Boosting is ruining the integrity of World of Warcraft, and it's Blizzard's fault. That's basically our statement here. Boosters are not the problem. Boosting communities are not the problem. People who buy boosts aren't the problem. Boosting as an activity is damaging World of Warcraft. But it's both the symptom of a disease and a solution to player problems. The cause and the cure is Blizzard Entertainment. And if you want to understand the business behind boosting, how it actually works, check out part 1.
We've watched this one already.
That had you jazzed at the idea of a cool side gig. Check out Ali Abdal's Starting a Successful Side Hustle on Skillshare, today's sponsor, where the first 1,000 to use my link will get a free month. When it comes to productivity, Ali is the man. And this new class focuses on, well, how I started this channel, how most people end up starting that thing they do. Ali's all about doing this in a sustainable way alongside whatever you're doing to keep the lights on right now.
A sustainable way is the opposite way of which I do things.
For the longest time, he ran his channel,
in case you're curious,
while being an NHS junior doctor. I don't even know how that's possible. So few are as credible as him, and this is a super tight, well-executed class that you will get a lot out of, so give it a shot. Skillshare has got thousands more courses, more from Ali, ones from the likes of MKBHD. Mountains of incredibly great content, and the first 1,000 of you to follow my link down below will get a month free. So, thanks to them for helping our team, being such a great partner, educating so much of our audience. And with that said, let's get into the video. Let's get into boosting. To start with, what is boosting? Not literally, but conceptually. Thoughts vary here. It's cheating. It's a fair use of social dynamics. It's buying a legitimate service as a part of a legitimate player economy. It's an unintended consequence of design principles.
Listen, I've said multiple times, the World of Warcraft token is literally pay to win. People have come to my comment section calling me uninformed, calling me this and that and the other and blah, 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 blah. These are the same people that we saw earlier in the Captain Grimm video, you know, the ones that were like friggin' huffing on that copium, like they're like going like that. These are the same people, these people that go and like, no, World of War, you know, WoW tokens not pay to win. No. These people are huffing that copium so hard they can no longer distinguish what is real from what is not real. World of Warcraft token has made World of Warcraft pay to win for a long fucking time. And if you haven't accepted it by now, it's about time that someone shoved it down your goddamn throat, because that is the goddamn truth. It is what it is.
It is a lot of things, but I think it's the symptom of something worse. It's an admission that people either can't or won't engage with content on the grounds Blizzard wants them to. It's people getting rewards without earning them in the intended way. But also, to be fair to boosting, it is a solution to problems that people have in the game. The very fabric of the game is fraying for boosting to end up being so prevalent. So let's examine, in as much depth as we can stomach, why someone would get boosted. It's the easiest way to achieve your goals. Boosting communities have made it seamless. Boostees get their rewards, boosters get gold, and something to actually do with their in-game time. The community gets a cut of every boost that they organize, so they sit on billions of gold, and maybe even are making some money on the side.
Damn! Bane Soul Reaver! Jesus Christ! Thank you very much for not just kindling the bonfire, but like friggin' setting it ablaze. Like, you know how if you kindle a bonfire to the max in Dark Souls and you can now have 20 Estus flasks? Well, in the current bonfire, you can have 200. Holy shit. Thank you very much, dude. Tip of the hat. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Dude. Holy shit. Thank you. Really appreciate it. You are way too kind, dude. You are way too kind. Thank you.
But as we've discovered, it actually goes a bit deeper than that. Note that this is not an opinion on boosting or the quality of players who are boosted. We'll get to that. This is just an observation about player behavior and systems. Imagine a world where you can guarantee that every player is at least as good as you, but mostly far better. You will never be held back by someone else's mistake. The tank in your Mythic Plus run won't have to leave because his baby just woke up or someone was at the door. You won't lose an evening to a heroic pug that disbands at Painsmith. You can just log in, get a group, and play the game without a care, without a stress. To live this kind of WoW life, you could join an absolutely excellent guild or foster a relationship with a fantastic group of online friends and hope they're actually online. Or you could pay for a boost at any time of day or night. It's easily the most efficient way to play the game, see the content, and get those rewards.
But see, that this completely goes against, at least to me, what it is to play World of Warcraft. I mean, when I play World of Warcraft, I want to play with friends. I want to hang out with friends. I don't want to basically pay my way into
so grossly
an overpowered group or something like that. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense. I get that people do it, but it's like, what confuses me is like, why would you do it though? It's almost like just having somebody else play the game for you. Because ultimately, even if you die, there is no actual failure. Right? It's like, it's whatever. Even if you die, they'll just carry the fight for you and then give you the loot or whatever, depending on which rewards you reserved or whatnot through you paying for the service. I just fundamentally disagree with the entire thing around it. Like, again, it is important to mention, though, there's a market here. There's clearly a market. There are people who feel the need to use this service. But at that point, I don't think you're actually playing the game. You're just skipping the part where you play the game to get the rewards. You're just literally skipping the play. Because, like, one of the best feelings in World of Warcraft is and I think there's, like, in raiding in general, when you're doing the raids, one of the best feelings is progressing through the raid until you eventually get to that one attempt where everyone in the group is just clicking just right and everything's going fine, and boom, you defeat the boss. That's what it's all about. And skipping that part and just having like a bunch of people that already know what to do, just kind of like, and getting carried, essentially, I don't think it's that interesting. Molo, thank you very much for being Grossing. That's 51 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate support. Thank you. Thought the best feeling was clicking the uninstall button. Yeah, in current World of Warcraft, yeah, I guess.
The same goes for the boosters. Why would you bother doing a Mythic plus 15 normally if you can do it and get paid for it? If you pug, you have 4 unreliable players. If you do a boost, you have 1 unreliable player and 3 other proven players, and you're going to get paid. The same goes for boosters who want to play on their alts. They're already in the community. They probably have plenty of gold. So why not just boost up your alts? It sure beats wasting your evening in pugs, right? We even have a lot of testimony from players that we've collected backing this feeling up. In essence, boosting is paid access to the elite premium experience. Pay a few 100,000 gold for an evening and you are guaranteed a frictionless gameplay
Finally giving
experience
Dragon's
and
Dogma
whatever
another go on
rewards you
PC
want.
after losing all of my save data on the 360 almost 8 or so years ago.
That's good, Bobby Muggs. Thank you very much for being Grossing with us for 5 months. Tip of the hat. Appreciate it. Thank you. Rurikhan, you're right, but look at New World. Day 3 people looked on your server already, max level content with experience, right? Yeah. In New World, like on the 3rd day in my server, like the people asking for more people to join their group and just to do like the dungeons of New World, which I've only done the first 2 ones because, you know, I've been leveling at a very leisurely pace, and I'm actually taking a break now. I'm trying to see if they get their fucking server transfers up already because I've been wanting to leave that server since forever. But people in my server were already, you know, need 2 more, know what to do. And I'm just like, it's day 3 of this game. Know what to do? Really? Fucking really? God damn, dude. God fucking damn. Wasn't there a guy offering to boost for money in Monster Hunter World? There was a service. They actually made a service where they would boost people through Alatreon, Fatalis, and all of these other things. And I was like, wow. Wow, dude.
What makes it worse is that it all happens in whispers and Discord, not through groups formed in general or trade chat, or even through the LFG tool. And this actually means that this upper echelon of WoW society is just unavailable to you if you are not boosting. And you won't even know about it. All you'll see is a bit of spam. And boy, actually, it is a lot of spam sometimes, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But what does this mean for players who do not boost? There's no way this bodes well, right? Boosting perverts the very idea of a video game. It's a gross deconstruction of what it means to play a game and earn a reward. I think you could see a lot of people agreeing with that statement. In a way, you could say it's tantamount to cheating. Like buying an Olympic medal on eBay or something like that, or, I don't know, buying your way onto a fantastic football team and getting carried. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is that it is a totally natural consequence of having a multiplayer group game with player trading. How is it different, in principle, from buying a flask that you didn't make from the auction house? It's just kind of outsourcing work and having things solved for you. The line is extremely blurry here, so let's approach this from both sides. First, let's tear the ass out of it. The negatives of boosting on the game are apparent, and they are damning. Look at Trade Chat. Look at Group Finder. Many chat channels are utterly unusable, and the Group Finder often can be a nightmare to wade through. There's also the impact of boosting communities as communities. When the best players will only play with lesser players when they're paid to do so, then the average players lack people to learn from or aspire to be. Lastly, the most insidious, invisible effect. The more prevalent boosting is, by its very nature, the less integrity World of Warcraft actually has as a game. Loot means nothing.
Listen, the World of Warcraft token already stripped World of Warcraft of any integrity that it possibly could ever have. So, yeah.
Nothing if not earned. Mythic Plus score, Mythic Plus rating, it's not accurate. Raid progress cannot be trusted, and player skill ultimately kind of means nothing unless you want to be a booster. If the perception is that everyone's boosting and nobody's really earning things, why even bother playing? What happens if somebody did actually earn ahead of the curve, makes a little slip up, and people just assume they bought a boost to clear? The entire system of reward for gameplay is devalued beyond recognition here. Also, I don't think I even need to mention PvP. Only that it rendered PvP's matchmaking nigh unusable for players who just want to learn and
Was it usable before, though? What a fucking joke.
push the rating a bit in 9.0. Skilled and geared players were prevalent in the lower brackets just to boost, and that messed up PvP. Now let's be deadly serious. The game has elements of pay to win, officially supported by WoW Token and unofficially via RMT. And it's more obvious and prevalent than ever thanks to the advertisement and improvement in boosting. This directly contributes to the general vibe that World of Warcraft feels like a less and less premium MMO. Your time and effort are devalued because, to some, it feels like everyone else is only here to spend or make money, so it starts to have a bit of a waft, a bit of a sniff, a bit of a smell of Chinese or Korean shovelware MMOs, where there is a lot of pay to win.
Not really a bit of a smell as much of
aren't worth committing to.
a terrible
Right
stench.
as you log in, and we know what happens to those after a while. They wither and they die. I'm sure the last chapter of this video was rather populist in nature, but it's important to play devil's advocate here and think about boosting as player-driven content. There is no official form of boosting, so it's clearly not an intended thing, and it's also not against the terms of service. Now look at the principle of it. Players in a world using that currency to pay for services from other players. Is it boosting to pay a gardener when you don't have the time or the skills to do the gardening yourself? No. But we'd likely all agree it's boosting to pay to get higher marks in a test somehow. Boosting is often seen as shorthand for paying for an accomplishment that you did not or could not earn. But that leads to another question. How much of World of Warcraft is actually an accomplishment? Is it an accomplishment to clear Mythic plus 15 or to get Curve?
Yeah.
Or are those things just roadblocks to playing the game? Is it an accomplishment?
Unfortunately, they have become roadblocks to playing the game because nowadays everybody's just like, no, I only want to play with you if I know for a fact that you're good. I'm not going to take a chance on you just being bad. And that is actually a part of the problem because back in the day, you didn't have that, that much way of figuring out who was good and who was bad. Like the very first guild I ever joined, I was recruited after I ran a dungeon. Like I ran a dungeon and I was the tank and basically the healer was like, hey, this tank doesn't suck. I want to invite him to my guild. That's pretty much how I got invited to my first World of Warcraft guild. It was basically the healer that was healing me was like, hey, this tank doesn't suck dick. I should invite him to my guild. And so I joined the guild and that's how I began raiding in World of Warcraft. But it's like, that is the way that things used to be. And nowadays, it's all about, do you have achievement X? Have you done this mythic in like whatever, right? In plus 20 so that I can invite you to do my plus 10. I'll invite you to do this plus 10 mythic if you prove to me that you've done it on like plus 20. That's like the standards of people nowadays, which is ridiculous. It's just fucking ridiculous. But that's also a symptom of the boosting because people are just used to doing the boosting.
To get invited to a good group enough to clear content? Not really. Boosting, in fact, could be seen as a way to get rid of those artificial feeling roadblocks, to be able to link the achievement and then actually play the game. And to many people, that initial, perhaps artificial feeling community roadblock results in having to play the game for hours and hours every week just to keep up, or having to be, lucky enough to get invited to a competent group in a world where leaders only take the very best and it's hard to prove yourself. Does doing content in WoW really feel meaningful under the current design? Perhaps not always. In fact, we can actually hear this from the horse's mouth. The Rurikhan boosting community shared with us the results of a survey that they took from their own community, asking what effect boosting actually has on them and if it benefits Blizzard in any way. And reading this, it was genuinely eye-opening, and we'll try to share that same feeling. On the side of the boosties, they say exactly what we all would expect, that for those people with limited game time, they can actually get into instant groups and play the actual game. For those who are maybe getting old and don't have the time or perhaps just lack the skill to play well, they get to experience the higher-end content as tourists to just see what's going on, to see the mechanics, get a slice of the experience. For those poor souls perhaps playing off-meta classes, or those who just simply fall behind the curve, boosting means they can actually get into content instead
What if we look at this from a different angle? Homeless Grey Cat, thank you very much for being grossing with us for 35 months, by the way. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. And we should look at this from a different angle, right? So think about it like this. Why is it that a majority of people in World of Warcraft don't actually know how to raid? Like, think about it for a couple of minutes. Why don't people know how to raid? Because a lot of people don't. They don't know the mechanics. They don't even know to install DBM. So they're in the game and they're like, they just don't know how to raid. Why is that? Because World of Warcraft doesn't do a good job of teaching its mechanics, or even worse, not just teaching its mechanics, but actually communicating its mechanics to its players. This is why you're expected to have something like deadly boss mods or bigwigs if you're going to do raiding. And I've seen people, I love it when people jump on my channel and be like, you don't need deadly boss mods to raid. I like to laugh in their fucking face. Yeah, I'm sure that you do a lot of raiding without deadly boss mods or bigwigs, motherfucker. I'm sure you do. I'm sure you raid every day. I'm sure you like fucking Curve. And what's the other one? There's another one above Curve. I forget which one it is. Cutting Edge. I'm sure you get Curve and Edge like the day that the raids come out. Before even the mythic versions are available, you already got Edge. It's like, boom, I'm good to go, baby. Yeah, I'm sure. Without deadly boss mods and bigwigs and weak ores. I'm sure you're not using any of those. No. See, that's the thing. Final Fantasy XIV, in my opinion, does an excellent job at teaching people how to raid. I disagree with what you're saying, Shadowmancers. You said it does a good job from 1 to 50, and after that it's worse than WoW. I 100% disagree. And let me tell you why. I've done all of the raids in Final Fantasy XIV by just queuing up to them. And you just do them, and people will say, oh, well, it's easier. It's not easier. I would argue they're harder than World of Warcraft's normal raids. The difference is 14 does a much better job at teaching you how to do that content. And therefore, a majority of players don't feel the need to boost. Because if you're just someone who's a tourist that doesn't care about doing Savage or Extremes or anything like that, even Extremes, like people pug Extreme, and even Savage, people pug Savage all the time. But you go to the party finder for that. You don't really like queue for it. But it's like, if you're just a tourist and you just want to do normal modes, you can do normal modes. You can just queue for the raids. And you're going to get it. You're going to get it done. I 100% guarantee it. You're going to get it done. Like, you might find the odd group that might fail because there's too many people that maybe weren't paying attention or maybe boosted their accounts through the thing that allows them to skip the story and whatnot. But a majority of players, they can clear the content because they get taught. You get taught along the way because the game puts challenges in front of you. And it's like, here's this dungeon. Here's this mechanic. Here's what a stack marker is. Here's what this other mechanic does. And when you go into the raids, you see the mechanics and you're like, I get it. It's like you don't need, if you just want to like see the content, you don't need to boost. You can just queue and do it. Because they do a good job of teaching players. World of Warcraft is terrible at teaching players how to do things. Terrible.
Instead of spending hours and hours looking for groups. And without being flamed in the group they get into, or kicked for mistakes in their spec or the gear of their character. All positives from those people's perspectives, and I think very fair positives indeed. Many of the boosters actually said that it revitalized the game for them. When their gameplay did not feel rewarding before, they can now earn gold while they play. Others say it's what lets them raid Mythic without having to buy WoW token because they need so much gold to pay for their consumable.
And see, the World of Warcraft token, once again, comes back into fucking circulation because what does it do? When people can just buy their way to items, items become more expensive. It's that simple. If everybody can just fucking buy gold, then people realize, oh, I can sell this for more money because it basically devalues gold in the game. So gold is worth less, so therefore people charge more for premium items for raiders and shit like that. Because people can just get a WoW token. Just get a WoW token. Just get a WoW token, get some money, boom. You can buy your raid consumables, all that bullshit. And so this way, the boosters are getting paid, which then allows them to go, buy their shit for mythic raids and whatnot.
One even said it feeds into the feeling of being a mercenary in-game, a highly trained, extreme, elite fighter for hire. And to some people, that's a really cool fantasy. Some boosters talk about how they actually like to, when they're doing their boosts, teach players the mechanics while they're playing. And of course, it's nice they can also generate some gold on the side and actually pay for their WoW subscription. The most common sentiment is that it actually keeps them playing the game when they feel they would have quit otherwise. Now, they can spend time in-game with a purpose in a boosting community, earning gold. We've heard from both sides of the fence that boosting likely plays a substantial part in keeping the game alive. Logging into Boost keeps habit formation going, keeping a large portion of the high-end player base locked into regular gameplay. And there's one more truth that rings through the opinions that I've read. They're called boosting communities, not boosting companies or boosting dealers. You could say that's some smart spin, but in many ways they do seem to genuinely try to be communities. And what happens then is the players are actually playing the game with their fellow boosters. So they find fellow players of a similar caliber who are bound together by a common purpose. There's even community leaderboards that people have used to get a bit of meaning actually competing on. From one side, that's a cynical technique to motivate freelancers. From another side, it's a way to add value to people's game time. So boosting then does have obvious and clear positives for those who engage in it. But let's try to examine those positives further, because we might actually learn something.
WoW is the problem?
Boosting exists across virtually every online game, and it's as much a plague on the likes of League of Legends and CSGO as it is here for us.
Oh, yeah.
It could be a symptom of how, things are changing and how games are actually played. With the proliferation of the internet, games that were online worlds sort of started to lose out to games that could host existing social groups, like many of the online co-op successes of 2009 onwards. World of Warcraft was no longer the only way to fill the social need that enthralled so many people in the first place. And this, of course, was doubled down on, in terms of game design, by cross-realm and the resultant loss of server communities, along with the likes of Discord, which have replaced what the WoW Guild used to do in the older days. In today's world, we largely retreat to games for other needs. The joy of numbers going up, or having something meaningful or fun to work towards. Rewards then became very important to that experience, and I think overall that's the recipe for boosting. So, boosting clearly has a value to players. It does have some nasty effects, but the reason that it happens is because of how those players actually feel about the game, and its progression and all of that.
I think that there's one essential part here that also needs to be discussed, and that is that this is almost like a psychology thing, but being able to get the rewards without putting in the work, I think is actually extremely negative to the human brain. Like, this is not even just like me, talking about the World of Warcraft. This is just something, like, I've been watching some videos about how, people spend a lot of time looking at their phones and whatnot, because in a way, looking at your phone is giving you a steady dopamine drip on your brain. Like, you might be looking at your feed, you might be seeing something funny on your phone, and you're just like, oh, this is funny. Ah, so cool. Like, for instance, a good example is TikTok. I don't watch TikTok personally. Every now and then I might run into a TikTok video in my Twitter feed, but it's not something that I'm seeking out specifically on TikTok. But just thinking about it, right? You see people on TikTok and you get like steady drips of dopamine on like 20 seconds to 10-second packets, just like boom, boom, boom. Just like, and then it's like, this is constantly giving your brain dopamine and you're not doing anything. You're not putting in any effort. You're not actually trying. You're not actually doing something. So this, in my opinion, is one of the reasons why we have so many mental problems throughout the world, because people are constantly getting a steady drip of dopamine into their brains without actually putting any effort. And you need to put in effort before you get that dopamine in your brain, because then it's going to feel better. At least that's what, some specialists have said, whatever. That is also the way that I personally feel. So like, for instance, earlier today when we were streaming Metroid Dread, we were doing the last boss, and I struggled with that last boss because it's challenging as fuck. And also, I'm a complete noob when it comes to Metroid, right? So, I'm doing it. And it's like, think about it like this. If I got in there and like the boss glitched or something, and I was like, bam, boom, done, killed it, one shot. And I was like, that was it? Okay, sure. I'll get a little bit of a dopamine drip, but in my brain, it's not going to do as much because I like the struggle. The struggle itself, sure, I can get frustrated. I can rage a little bit and shit. But like deep down, I know I like it. I like the struggle. I like the effort that you have to put in order to get that reward for when you eventually beat the boss, for when you eventually get, doesn't even have to be like a physical reward, an item or whatever. It's just the reward of actually going through it. That's what matters to me. And I think that is a big problem with this boosting situation, is that people, they're basically paying to get their reward without putting in the effort. And I think that is the problem. Without the struggle, success is meaningless. Exactly. But a lot of people don't recognize that. A lot of people don't recognize that because they're used to the steady dopamine drips of shit like TikTok and their Facebook feeds and whatnot, and anything that they keep scrolling through on their phones. And that is a huge problem both in society, but also obviously I think it's a great contributor to the WoW boosting thing, because people, they want to jump into World of Warcraft and they want to get that dopamine fix. And they don't care if they have to, what they have to do to get that dopamine fix. They're so hooked on it that they just got to get it. They just got to get it. Preferably with the least amount of effort as possible, which is why you see groups going like, oh, know what you're doing if you want to join my group. And that is a problem. And that is not just a symptom of World of Warcraft. I feel that it is in great part World of Warcraft, because World of Warcraft token, the boosting stuff, all this bullshit that's happening in the game, right? But also, it is a greater societal problem to consider on top of the World of Warcraft situation.
And that's Blizzard's fault. In fact, all the positives I see reported about boosting in the game are basically things that tie back to what the game lacks.
They're Blizzard
when
failures.
When people boost because they do not have the time, in many cases that's because they feel the game is forcing them to spend time when they can't. In some ways that's unreasonable. I mean, you've got to put in the work to get the reward.
Shields
but
up.
other ways,
Hey,
could
Ruby
be
and fellow
artificial
Ironbreakers,
roadblocks.
hope everyone
Things
is
like having
having
to
a
get your soul
great
ash and your soul
weekend.
cinders that people would rather not do because they don't want to be getting their soul ash and cinders.
God's Demon
because they
09,
want
thank
to
you very
see
much
the
for
cool
being
raid.
grossly
Turns out
incandescent
it's the
for
cool
23
raid.
months.
Well, that's the thing they're interested in.
Tip of the hat. Appreciate
When
support.
people boost because they're not good enough, well, that's the aspiration to mastery and the mastery loop failing. When boosters boost because they need gold, that's an economic problem. When they boost because the game doesn't actually engage them otherwise, that's a content problem. When players can't get invited or can't find a group, that's a failing of the game. And boosting is a solution.
It's not always a failing of the game. Here's where we can talk about another problem with society. And I almost feel like I'm defending Blizzard when that was not my intention at all. But you not finding a group, in part, it is a problem of the game because, you know, there's all this boosting culture around it. But even if you take away, let's just say you take away the boosting culture. Let's take it all the way back to Wrath of the Lich King. If you can't find a group in Wrath of the Lich King era, that is a societal problem in which people no longer know how to behave socially. Because there's so many layers nowadays. People are just used to online interaction and they don't know how to actually behave in a face-to-face situation because they're used to being behind a screen, behind a keyboard. And when those barriers spread away and you're just literally standing in front of another person, that's a whole different ballgame. Because, like, you see a lot of times people being like fucking keyboard warriors and like, if I ever met you in real life, I'd beat the shit out of you. And then suddenly, like, those barriers fade away and this person's like, don't hurt me. That's literally how it goes in a lot of situations because people no longer know how to behave in a social way. And therefore, they cannot form social bonds, even online. Because they're too used to just like, you know, trolling and shit and like all of this other bullshit. That when it comes time to actually interact with another human being, even online, they cannot form those social connections. Rurikhan, would you agree that content creators and social media are partially guilty too when they make the best builds and class guides? Yes. Yes, they are. You are 100% correct. Content creators are also a part of the problem. Because when someone puts out a guide, and I too am a part of the problem, although I try to tell people this is how I do things, this does not have to be how everybody does things. Whenever I put out a guide, I'm always like, this is how I do it. This is not how everybody has to do it. This is how I do it. Sometimes it's the best way, sometimes it's not the best way, it's whatever. But, you know, it is a problem where, you know, like you go to do a piece of content and people will have expected you to see like 10 different YouTube videos on that piece of content. That is a problem, yes. But the thing that I'm talking about now is just, it's more about just the social aspect, being able to reach out and have a conversation with someone in a way that, you know, like two human beings used to have back in the day. We've lost that along the way. Like, I guarantee you that like 90% of the people that you find online would not be capable of entering a conversation with somebody else if they just like suddenly showed up in front of them and have a conversation with them. They'd struggle to be able to deal with that situation. I'm shy. I have a hard time finding a group because you are not allowed to be noob. That's because, again, the failure comes on both sides. It's not just on someone who is trying to get into a group. It's also on the people that are already in the group because they don't want to have to deal with teaching you stuff. And why is that? Because they lack empathy. You could be the coolest person in the world, but the group doesn't have empathy. And why is that? Because they probably don't engage in many social interactions. There is definitely a lack of empathy as well. You're describing me and a lot of other people. It's like, it's weird, but unfortunately, the way that we have evolved as a society, we start losing social skills. And I'm saying this as someone, as I personally, I consider myself to be extremely antisocial. Like, plenty of times growing up where my parents would want me to like go to an event or something with them, and I'd be like, fine, I'll go. I'd fucking hate it because I wouldn't want to be social with other people. I feel like that has improved a little bit, but usually when it's things that I'm interested in. But it's weird. It's fucking weird. But then again, I've also had a weird upbringing with moving 3 times and losing all of my friends 3 times and having to forge brand new relationships 3 times. Which, yeah, when you lose all your friends when you're like fucking 6, and then you have to make brand new friends, and then you have like brand new friends for 3 years, and then you lose all those friends again, and then you're expected to make brand new friends with people that already have established friendships. It's hard. It's fucking hard. I guess in a way that has given me additional social skills, kind of. It's weird. But yeah, this is a problem that I don't know how to fix. It's just, as a society, we're increasingly disconnected and less empathetic than what we're supposed to be. This is becoming like a weird fucking philosophical discussion. We're talking about World of Warcraft boosting, goddammit.
Let's take a different angle here. How does the game support boosting? For a start, gold requirements to play the game are quite huge. So many self-reported boosters got themselves into it.
Shadowtide91, thank you very much for being grossing with us for 20 months.
To afford their mythic rating consumables.
Support, thank you.
The black market auction house is a massive gold sink. Costs millions of gold. I mean, the Brutosaur, as an example, that was a unique mount that cost 5 million gold.
Gold sinks.
There's no feasible way to generate that much gold through regular gameplay. You've got to start playing the economy or, I don't know, doing an absurd amount of just content on loads of different alts. That's perfectly fine. But when boosting ends up being the most efficient way to make money for many, assuming they're not big economic people, then adding in a gold sink is kind of supporting that boosting economy and even whaling via WoW token, or worse, RMT. So in a way, if people didn't feel like they needed the gold that much, you could say the problem would start to go away.
Mithro424, thank you very much for being grossly incandescent. Tip of the hat, appreciate support. Final Fantasy statics are better for forming close bonds. In my opinion, it's only 8 people as opposed to like 20 plus people, and it shows in how we treat each other. They took on an FF noob like me, and now we're progging E11S after just 2 weeks. My WoW guild kicked me the moment my class stopped being meta without a single word. WoW guilds made me live in pug raids and become someone who bought boosts even though I could get the achievement on my own. See, that right there. I completely agree. There's definitely a problem with... but that's an even deeper problem with the fact that like World of Warcraft balancing is just complete dog shit. They have no idea how to balance their game, and they're never going to. They just don't care. All they care about is that some classes can clear the content, and if a couple of other classes can't do it, well, that's too fucking bad. And if that happens to be your class, that's too fucking bad. That's literally how Blizzard looks at these things. They might tell you otherwise, but that's literally how it goes. If they didn't look at it like that, then they would properly tune their things. And I can tell you right now that in 14, you don't have that problem. Like, every single class is viable, which is weird. Some people will tell you, oh, but bards are perfectly fucking viable. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, it's fucked up. It's fucked up. And I agree. Final Fantasy statics are better. As a matter of fact, I wish I could commit to a static, but unfortunately, schedule, parent of 2, trying to be a family man gets kind of hard. It's kind of hard. That's why I need like 7 of you guys in the Chaos Data Center to just get together and be my static. That's what I need.
Then there are the chores. The focus on efficient progress and the reward design. People don't actually want to play the game, but they want to achieve the rewards in the game. A funky situation.
This is something that I don't understand. If you don't want to play the game, I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. If you don't want to play the game, you can always not play the game.
And that will certainly make people find ways
people are
not
dopamine
to play.
Addicts.
And that implies that the game isn't good enough to warrant playing yourself. And why is that?
Yeah.
Most of this, I think, is down to how hard it is to actually play the game. For many people who are not in a guild, finding a good group to play with can be a very time-consuming experience. And the player base has long been conditioned away from patience and forgiveness. Everyone wants the optimal experience and gets frustrated when they do not get it. So groups...
See, I don't want the optimal experience when I play World of Warcraft. I'm not even joking. I don't. I've never wanted to be a part of like a top tier guild or anything like. I'm not joking. I've never wanted to. I just wanted to be a part of of a group of people that are having fun and enjoying themselves and learning. That's all I care about. It is unfortunate, however, that I'll tell you guys right now from personal experience, there are some people who will never learn. Like, I'm sorry, and I'm saying this, and if Q was here, he's not here, but if Q was here, he would give you more context into that. But me and Q, we taught a lot of people how to play World of Warcraft. We taught a lot of people how to raid. And I can tell you from that experience that there are some people who are able to learn and improve, and there are other people that will never, ever be good raiders, no matter how much training you put into them, no matter how much leeway you give them. There are some people that quite simply will never be good raiders. Like, I understand that there's this idea now because society also, again, this is another society thing. Everyone's a winner. No, not everybody's a winner, okay? Not everybody's going to be able to have a good time in life. That's just the way that society is designed. Some people are going to win, and in order for those people to win, some people are going to fucking lose. That's just the way it is. And some people quite simply are not intelligent enough to understand rating in video games. It is what it is. I've been, like I said, I've rated for a long time in World of Warcraft, and we've went through a lot of players. Some players use this as a stepping stone guild, where they basically raided with us until they had acknowledgement from bigger guilds, and they went on there, and they got a bunch of gear from us, and they would go on to other guilds, to bigger guilds and whatnot. And I fucking hated that, but it is what it is. And then there was also people, those were the people that would never move on. There's people that they would never learn. Like they'd stand in fire and die, and then we'd tell them, don't stand in fire. And then they'd still stand in fire and die. And we'd tell them, don't stand in fire. And they'd still stand in fire and die. Some people will never learn.
Fall apart often at the very first hint of a mistake. So let's think about this from an experience design perspective. Players aren't good enough to get the rewards that they want, and they don't want to get the gear or develop the skill to do it themselves in many cases. Why is that? Do they
Because they're
actually
lazy.
know
Because they want
how
the
to play?
dopamine.
Are there usability barriers to their gearing? Hell, how many people see a chat full of people selling boosts and just assume that that's kind of the dumb thing now? All big questions, so let's talk about what Blizzard can actually do. It would be very easy to blame the community for the boosting problem, or to blame a set of players. But that gives Blizzard an out, and all of these things are just emergent results of Blizzard's design. The world has changed since the good old days, and people just don't really play games the same way anymore. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't try, because boosting does exist in other games, but it's not always as prevalent. If I had to hazard one guess, and I think this one could be a bit in the money, I would suggest that the more mandatory things that the game pressures you to do, the more boosting will be a thing. Destiny 2, as an example, is a game with a hefty boosting scene. And historically, it's extremely similar to aspects of World of Warcraft's modern design. And I really think that is food for thought. At the end of the day, boosting cannot be stopped. There's no amount of demonizing those who buy boosts or offer boosts or the communities who organize boosts that will actually be useful here, because it's a service problem, right? It's fixing a need. We can't just say we're going to stop pirates by being angry at people who pirate games. We got to think about what Gabe thought about. Piracy is a service problem. What is the root cause? The thing is, there's always going to be players who want to pay to win, and there's always going to be players who will enjoy doing boosts. But what can Blizzard do to reduce how many players want to boost. They can start by considering how people actually engage in World of Warcraft. If people want to pay to win instead of play to win, then that is a game failing. And thankfully, I've got great news for you. Solutions here are plentiful. So let's look at 2 other games for some quick inspiration.
Solutions may be plentiful, but Blizzard are way too arrogant to ever watch this video, so it doesn't fucking matter. They're not gonna do shit.
In World of Warcraft, when you want to join a group, you get added to a list for selection. If someone with a higher item level or a more meta class signs up, they will be picked and you will not be picked.
Yep.
By design, the people furthest behind are not just left in the dust, their face is pushed into the dust. Maybe their legs are broken.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy XIV's Party Finder, the party leader sets up what they want. They can pick specific jobs. They can limit it to people who have already cleared the content and choose the group's objective. If any player meets that set criteria, they join the party. It's actually first come, first served according to conditions set by the party leader, instead of presenting yourself in a lineup and hoping the leader picks you. Like picking the football team at, playtime or PE class at school. Think about that in the real life version. It sounds like a minor difference here between FF and between WoW, but imagine if you could just join groups in WoW. People could play the game without boosting or wasting time signing up to groups they never had a chance of actually getting into. They get to play more and without frustration. Simple as that. Another inspiration. Communication in World of Warcraft is extremely awkward mid-combat. If you're not on voice, you have to type, which is extremely inefficient, and it's hard to see the very modern, fast-paced game mechanics of, say, Mythic Plus meshing with typing, right? So, imagine if the ping system from Apex Legends was adapted to World of Warcraft. Hold a button, use the mouse to select what you want to communicate, give it a location on the screen with the cursor, and bam. You could have a similar effect with world markers, but that's just a color and a shape. It's not exactly an indicator of intent. Imagine a please be careful area ping, or a go this way ping. Seriously? And I know a lot of people who play World of Warcraft don't play FPSs or Battle Royales, but the Apex Legends pinging system is it's honestly one of the greatest innovations in player communication within gaming of the last decade. It is truly magnificent. And EA have actually opened up all their patents for it as well. So, with a system like this, you can communicate simple things without having to type and hoping that you're with somebody who actually looks at chat. So wouldn't the World of Warcraft version of an Apex Legends ping system massively improve dungeons, massively improve the average pug group? Efficient and effective tools are extremely important, and WoW is still running in a very early 2000s feeling UI, fundamentally. And how do we solve the problem of forcing people to spend time when they can't? Easy. Stop tying so much gear progress to great vault drops.
Man, oh man, look at that. Look at it. It's our buddy. It's our buddy, dude. You guys want to know what the best part is? I remember when I told everyone back in BFA, and then they remade the vault for Shadowlands, and I said, that vault's a goddamn piece of shit. And all of you that can't fucking see it, you're blind. You're fucking blind. The chests in BFA, I believe that the chests were implemented like in Legion. It's like, listen, the Mythic Plus chests in Legion were shit. The Mythic Plus chests in BFA were shit. And guess what? The Great Vault is just as shitty as all of those were. Okay, it's not as shitty, but it's still fucking shit. It's shit. It's dog shit. And notice that this is the first thing that he brought up when it came to talking about, like, a couple of problems. Maybe don't put as much progression in the vault. No shit. Maybe people don't like playing World of Warcraft like it's a fucking mobile game, considering that they have to pay however many bones they have to for the base game, then however much they have to for a fucking expansion, and then 15 more bones every goddamn fucking month. And you still get treated like a fucking mobile player, baby. Woo! Look at how much respect Blizzard has for you. They treat you like the bottom of the fucking barrel of the gaming industry. You're literally the bottom of the fucking barrel with this goddamn free-to-play weekly system, motherfucker. And every single time this vault gets brought up, I will take great pleasure in basically shoving that in, because I've been screaming it from the rooftops since the first time I had to deal with that bullshit in BFA, and I'll continue to scream at the rooftops. And you're talking to someone who was extremely lucky with the fucking Great Vault, okay? Because for all the weeks that I've played Shadowlands, I got massive upgradings from this fucking vault. But I still kept saying this vault is a piece of shit. And you want to know why? Because it's fucking RNG. That's all it is. It's fucking RNG. The only difference between the RNG here and the RNG in Battle for Azeroth is that you get to spin the fucking lever more times. That's it. You just get to spin it. You spin it a couple more times. You pull that slot machine more times than you did in BFA. Of course, you got to put in the work. You got to do more Mythic Plus. You got to do more raiding. Got to do more PvP. But then you get more slot machine pulls. But you still only get to have one item at the end of the day, dude. So yes, the Great Vault is a great pile of shit. And if you disagree, that's fine. I mean, you know, whatever you say, dude. But like, this is a piece of shit. And if you like getting your shit on a weekly basis, let me tell you, there are so many games that you're going to love in the Google Play Store and the iOS Store. There's so many games that you love there. They'll have all of these mechanics on a fucking daily basis, dude. On a daily basis. And they're free. You don't even have to pay for them. Othra Erir, thank you very much for being grossly incandescent. Tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Oh, man.
Let people play the game at roughly their own pace. Incentivize regular play without the fear of missing out to drive it home.
No, you gotta hit him with that FOMO.
And have fun things to do instead. Next.
Guys, he said the F word. Blizzard... The systems design team at Blizzard just like, they like surrounded themselves with garlic and fucking cross and like, he said the F word. Fun. Yeah. Imagine players having fun. That's what the systems team is thinking. Holy shit, fun? You're crazy. The psychologists that we have over here, they're saying that too much fun is actually bad. You might unsubscribe if you have too much fun in the game. So we have to psychologically exploit you from every single avenue possible. Gonna hit you with that FOMO from every fucking angle. Gonna hit you with that FOMO so hard, you're never going to want to stop playing our game, because that's the only thing that they have for you. See, they replaced those two words. Whenever somebody said, we should make the game more fun, somebody would come up and say, we should add more FOMO to the game.
The mastery loop problem. How's this? The Proving Grounds revamped, but they actually teach modern game mechanics. And let's not even bring up the Warlords of Draenor Silver Proving Grounds thing again. But if the problem is in player
have no idea what he's
performance,
talking about.
then help to lift lower players up. Teach them to play. Write simple in-game guides for how each spec plays. Improve the base UI of World of Warcraft so
Imagine
people
teaching
don't feel
players how
like
to
they need
play.
a weak aura to play their class.
Improve the base UI. Look at this shit. Straight out of 2004, baby. Woo! Yeah. This UI right here. Straight out of 2004. No customization no, you can act. That's a lie. You can actually put a couple of bars here, and I think you can put a couple of bars here too. That's about the extent of your customization, sir. We'll let you put one more bar here and two more bars here. And that's that. You get no more.
Class without it being overly confusing or with the UI that they need scattered across the screen. Give players reasonable DPS challenges in the proving grounds with a dynamic feedback system on what they are doing wrong. Even if you have to hire the people who make WoW Analyzer or something. Teach players the game mechanics they need to know, and then use those mechanics in your designs going forward. It might also help to reduce the needless complexity of specs. Borrowed power adds so many asterisks that it's utterly impossible to understand any of them without having a
It's also utterly impossible to balance it, but they keep on doing it. It's their fucking choice.
very trained eye, or looking up a guide, or just thinking, screw it, I'm going to get a subscription to raid bots and work out all the stuff for me. Don't remove depth, just keep the pointless additions out and add gameplay depth, not mathematical depth. Too much damage comes from manipulating the system and having the right setup rather than playing your spec right. Sometimes it feels like this game is made by theory crafters for theory crafters, and that leaves the average World of Warcraft
Oops. Look at this fucking mess of a UI, dude. Like, seriously, I was just looking at this. It's like, it's been a while since I've played WoW,
crafters
but like, look
for
at this.
theory crafters.
Bomb 4 on you. Here's a star right on top of your head. Bomb on Bellular. Look at all this shit. What the fuck is even this? Is this like the boss's cast bar? Then there's the fucking... Jesus Christ, dude. What a fucking mess. Look at it. Look at it. Eesh. You know, a video that I saw a while back, a clip from Xeno, I thought was fucking hilarious because he was looking at Nagura's UI, and they're bringing these habits of customizing your UI to 14, and so Nagura has like these bricks of health, like in the middle of the screen, and he pulls out a fucking protein bar, and he's like, "You want a fucking brick?" He puts a protein bar next to Nagura's health bars. And it's like, here's a fucking brick. That's some funny shit, dude. Good God. But the best part is that, you know, for someone that doesn't play WoW, you might not understand, but the game is literally unplayable without this shit. If you want to perform up to par, you need all of this fucking bullshit on your screen. This is something I definitely don't fucking miss.
And that leaves the average World of Warcraft player totally in the dust and confused with unintuitive bullshit that I think has got basically no place in game design. To solve some of boosting, the economy also needs to be looked at, even quickly. Hire game masters to get rid of bots. Be more conscious of this stuff. And be more conscious of how much gold it actually costs for a mythic raider to raid. Maybe if they didn't need the gold, they wouldn't feel like they've got to log in and, you know, put in their few hours of boosting to be able to afford to do the thing they actually want to do in the game. And lastly, to wrap up our ideas for today, I've got one more thought. If you give players more freedom, they may just gravitate towards challenges of their own accord. Instead of feeling forced.
Yeah, like, this is so true. Because, like, literally, all I wanted to do in WoW was Mythic Plus and rating. That's all I wanted to do. I want to do these two things. I want to do Mythic Plus and I want to do rating. But I couldn't. In order to do Mythic Plus and do rating and keep up with the power creep of your character, you had to do mod dailies. You had to do Torghast. You had to do world quests. You had to do anima grind. You had to do renown grind. You had so much bullshit to do. And some people will tell me, you don't have to do those things. It's like, you're right, you don't. But if you want to be, if you want to put in the effort, if you want to be the best that you can possibly be, then you do. It's that simple. And when I'm playing World of Warcraft, I'm not doing it to be the best in the fucking world, but I would do it to get every single 0.05% improvement that I could get on my character. Why? Because that's just the way that I've always played the game. Because that's the mentality that you should have when you're playing with other people. Basically, you not putting in the effort is you not respecting the time of somebody else who is in your group that has put in the effort. It's that simple. It's basic human respect. So if I know that the people that are in my group are putting in the extra effort to do these things, to improve their class, to get this 0.1% more DPS, I should be expected to do the same. It's only common fucking courtesy. It's only common courtesy. If the rest of the people in your group are putting in the effort to be the best that they can possibly be, you should do the same. Because if you don't, then you're not respecting their time. Because they're putting in the time to be the best that they can possibly be, but you're not. How does that work? Now, if you're in a group where everybody's just fucking slacking, nobody's doing the extra shit, whatever, that's a different conversation. That's fine. Whatever. You don't want to do it, don't want to do it. Like usually in most of the groups that I've played, everybody's, putting in the extra effort to do the additional activities to get that power creep going. That is the problem. Is that Blizzard wants you to be hooked to that level with the FOMO on that level. And you shouldn't. You don't have to play the game at all, too. Yeah, you don't. See, you don't have to play at all.
I'm feeling frustrated through them. How many people are boosting because the game makes them want to fill up their Great Vault, when really they'd be happier doing something else? And does that breed animosity? Forcing every World of Warcraft player into the same Mythic Plus sausage machine is sure to breed some rebellious and undesired behavior. Like players boosting to avoid having to engage with other players because they just want to fill their vault and be done with it. To that end, the game could solve its content problem. Right now, we have a big issue, and I think the opposite of that issue is solved by this. Create non-endgame driven content and horizontal character progression. I think that's what a lot of people are missing. Instead of just that big old Great Vault sausage machine. Right. This was a bit different as far as the video goes. This was pure riffing on the nature of boosting as a problem and how Blizzard can solve it. Because it feels like an existential one. As perhaps a Jocko Willig might say, if we're to borrow one of that community's memes, a problem as severe as this, when it rears its ugly head, the response is to say good. A problem existing is an opportunity to solve a problem and to be better for it. Do you have any insights, any other insights into why people might boost and to how Blizzard can solve boosting? Let us know. And if you want to deep dive into another topic, also let us know, because we love doing these investigations. It's one of the things we've been able to do with just more of your support and stuff like that lately, and it's fun. And actually, not to tease things, but we are midway into another in-depth investigation into an aspect of World of Warcraft. It'll be coming out decently soon. I hope you enjoy it. That is it for today. If you want to honestly just have an absolute banger of an experience that I think could hype you up to maybe start that thing you've been thinking of, check out Skillshare down below and Ali Abdal's newest class. It's awesome. Thanks to them for sponsoring and making content like this that is a lot more time consuming to do, actually possible. Thank you. See you next time.
Very interesting looking at like the different points of view of boosting. I never looked into it from the booster's point of view, I guess. And it is an interesting discussion to have, but ultimately it still feels like it's just a complete negative. Like I don't see any positive aspect in boosting. Even looking at it through the booster's perspective, I still see it as a failure on World of Warcraft, and like I said, a failure on teaching its players how to actually play the game, which is why there's so many players, because they can just coast. Players coast through most of the experience in World of Warcraft. Like, you can finish the Shadowlands campaign without doing, like the main campaign, without doing raids or even fucking dungeons. What? You can finish this MMORPG without ever interacting with another human being. How the fuck does that even work?